you start your day? You set your tone. You're the master of either a good day or a bad one. You're the master of a terrific week or that of a terrible one. It's all in your mindset. Do you start your day off positively or do you start it off in a dreadful tone? I've shared this personal story several times, how I used to wake up when I worked in an industry that made me extremely unhappy. Every single morning I'd say to myself that I was stuck. Instead of being blessed to see another day, my mind was set to hopeless. Are you setting a positive tone for each day? How are you setting the tone for your life in general? This is a time where you can think positively. Everything is in your mindset. Right now, I have a wonderful 7-day motivational entitled the Go Love Yourself Daily Crown Jewels, the 7-day motivational. Head over to www.goqueen.com and download your free copy of the 7-day motivational map. You can also go to www.goqueen.com and download the full color PDF 7-day motivational guide. This guide is also available on Amazon.com. So go ahead, change your mindset, and remember, every single day you can go love yourself and have a winner's mindset. Go Queen! Thank you guys for joining the Go Queen podcast, the Key Chat. So I'm excited. I have an awesome young lady today, and she is Miss Malika ENT. She's the Queen of the Bay, and she's doing some amazing things. She's a recording artist, a host, a filmmaker, a model, an actress, and an activist. And she also has this new single coming out called African Girl, and it's dedicated to the original women. So this episode is definitely for all my queens. So I'm going to give Miss Malika the floor so she can introduce herself and give us her full background. So how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. First of all, I appreciate you for looking out for the queens. We got to have each other's back. Want for my sister what I want for myself. So
Yes.
I'm very excited to be here and sharing this platform with you.
Tell me start off and tell us everything about this single. Like, I definitely have a bunch of questions for you, but I want to talk about that single first. I loved how you said that it's dedicated to the original woman, and I did watch and get some information about that single off of YouTube, but I want you to tell everybody the background of that song, the origin of it. Just give us all the information about it.
So basically, I've been raised, like I said, I'm an African girl, but I was born in America. And since I could remember, my parents have put it in me to just have love, respect, and honor for the motherland, for our ancestors, and just learning all about our history. I grew up going to Pan-African schools, Muslim schools, and I'm just really appreciative for that. And when I finally had the opportunity to go to Africa, I always dreamed about going to Africa, but when I finally was able to touch down in the motherland, so honored. It was just amazing. And I kind of was freestyling that first verse on the beach, but it was on video. And I ended up going after that, and I just wrote the song and just paying homage to all of us melanated women, all of the original women of the world, of the earth. And also just me going to Africa the first time was just such an amazing experience. And that was kind of the motivation for that song. And transitioning over, I've been doing music for a long time, and this is kind of like me. I don't want to necessarily say reinventing myself, but just coming with a new, different flavor and a twist. So and I would say the inspiration was just for me actually going to Africa and getting a chance to just soak it all in firsthand.
Wow. So just to backtrack, so I saw that you're originally from Oakland, California, and of course you're a NOLA resident now. But as far as music, what was your start? Like, what were your influences? Were you raised in a musical household? Like, how did your origin begin with music?
Yeah, so again, I was raised in, well, not again, but I was raised in a musical household. My mom is a professional African dancer, so I grew up watching her African dance, and she's an actress. She's done many, many plays and films. My dad was a lead singer of the band HP Riot back in the day.
Oh,
They were
wow.
signed to Columbia Records and they toured like Europe and Canada and done a lot of amazing things. And my uncle was in the group, my auntie was in the group. So in my household, it was just, I mean, we really didn't grow up like watching sports or
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of TV or video games and stuff. Our family was like either they was talking about the latest debates, politics, or we was singing like every day. You could just come to our house and basically it would be karaoke. It was always like really looking back, it was it was a party.
Wow.
And so I grew up in that type of a household, and my father and uncle, they're really great songwriters. And so back in the day, we formed a group called the Oaktown Girls, and
Mm-hmm.
my dad and uncle were very instrumental in helping us the writing and things like that. Well, we wrote our raps, but they were actually telling us back in the day to sing hooks. And we was like, don't nobody sing hooks. Don't nobody sing and rap. Don't
Mm-hmm.
nobody do that. And he still reminds me to this day how he was like, I told you now that people can't stop that.
Wow.
And my mom, she used to make sure we kind of was like a Jackson 5 household with a little African twist to it. So that's really how I got started, just watching my family do it.
Wow, that's really amazing. So I know going through your bio, it said that after the dissolution of your group, you started and founded See You on Top Entertainment and began appearing on a lot of projects. So what do you think
Yeah.
was like the major kind of breakthrough that transitioned you, from the group that you started to really catapult your career?
Okay. So, after the Oaktown Girls, we kind of were teenagers, really, really young. We were really kind of like one of the first girl rappers to come out, but
Mm-hmm.
we kind of started getting into trouble, doing things we wasn't supposed to do. And my mom was like, that's how she punished us, like breaking up our group. And her and my dad really had a big fat disagreement about that. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was just that. My mom didn't play. She was like, so that kind of happened. And then after I graduated from high school, I ended up marrying my high school sweetheart, having a baby, which all along I was still doing my music.
Mm-hmm.
But then I just started buckling down and really just getting back into it. Because, I mean, once you have a love for something, you really never stop. So I got back into it. I formulated the company, they got the LLC and everything done. And I started working on my own project and just getting back out there, hustling and grinding, and connected with A-Team Records. And they really were an instrumental part of my first project that I put out. And really, I was performing everywhere. Anywhere it was a microphone, I was there
Wow.
doing my thing and just hustling and grinding it out and just bringing my name back as a solo artist.
Now, I saw that you also have listed that you were a contestant on Diddy's Making a Band. Now, I grew up watching that show like crazy because, MTV was like, right now they don't do any music, you would think. But, back in the day when MTV showed videos and, making a band and everything, how was that experience?
Being on Making the Band was a really awesome and amazing experience. A lot of people talk shit about P. Diddy, like, oh, he's this, he's that. I really don't have any complaints because even though I didn't make the band, he really respected my hustle. He never came at me sideways. And just to be able to work with somebody like P. Diddy, like it was just awesome. Like I worked really hard there. I was able to work with Doc Holliday, vocal coach, and Lorianne Gibson, and um Phil Robinson, and Johnny Wright. He manages like Janet Jackson and Alicia Keys and Britney Spears. And
Hmm.
he's where I was able to work with all of these people. And it really just sharpened my skills as a performer overall, and was really able to saying is that it was really able to help me transition into many other opportunities. I really wish that it was like back then, it wasn't Instagram, it wasn't Facebook and all of that. So I kind of missed that wave, but I was still able to do, a lot of things. It was, and people still remember me from making the band after all of these years. So I'm very just thankful for that experience. Like over 200,000 girls applied to be on that show, and I made it to the top 3. So I
Yeah.
ain't even mad.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
making
it
a
was
band
really
was
good.
a big thing back in the day. I mean, it was a huge
Hmm.
thing. So I know you mentioned, just nowadays how it's a little different. Obviously social media is really heavy. Do you think social media, because this is a huge IG, Facebook world and TikTok, YouTube, everything, do you think it helps or hurts new artists?
I think it helps. I wish they did have Instagram because baby, I'd have had my 1,000,000 followers and a blue check. I think it's what you do with it. You know what I mean? It's your platform to use it however you want. It's like your own small business. I think it's too much fronting going on. You know what I mean? Like if
Right.
you a fake person, it's easy to be hella fake on there. Like that's
Hmm.
the part that I kind of don't like.
Right.
But I mean, that's on that person and on that individual if they're fronting on Instagram and all of that. But for me, man, if they would have had Instagram back in the day with all the stuff I was doing, I'd have been all in the shade room and some more.
Hmm.
So
That is so true.
I personally, I wish I can't. I'm hoping, God willing, that I, get another big opportunity like that. Because looking back, I was on TV 24/7, and it really, makes you popular and people get to see you. And now I think with Instagram, the way you can get paid on commercials and so many more doors. I was saying, with Instagram and Twitter and all of this, it's just really what do you do with your platform? You can do so many things. It's really creating a lot of entrepreneurs and just, business owners and just a whole new way of thinking. I love it.
I think it's cool. It's just interesting just to notice how things have changed. But, the new generation, that's all they know, is the social media world anyway. So that's the thing that's really funny. So also looking through your bio and everything, one question I do have before I go into further questions. So who are some of your
Mhm.
major musical influences? I mean, I know your family was obviously really instrumental on, just what you picked up as an artist, but out of your family, out of your close knit family, who are your major musical influences? If you had to pick some artists, past, present, like who's some of your go tos just to get your inspiration?
I mean, back in the day, we used to take, like, before social media and all of this stuff, our entertainment was taking turns singing Anita Baker.
Mm.
Like, my turn, I'm singing this, and we used to do that for hours, singing Anita Baker, and you couldn't interrupt. So if it was my turn to sing, I was singing. I love Anita Baker. I love Mary J. Blige. I love Brandy. I love Brandy. Old school, Stevie Wonder. I grew up listening to a lot of Stevie Wonder in my household. My parents, listening to my mom loves like Shaka Khan. But my girl would be number one, Anita Baker. That's my number one favorite singer. And then Mary for like the newer, and Brandy even on the up and up.
Nice. And I love how Brandy, I'm like a huge Brandy fan, and I definitely agree. She is the
Hmm.
vocal Bible. I feel she's underrated, actually.
Yeah.
That's just my thing because I know like the new verses is coming out, and with her and Monica. And something I was watching, they were like, "Oh, who do you think who's going to win?" And everyone kept saying, "Oh, well, Brandy doesn't have that many hits." I was like, "What Brandy
Are
albums
you
have they?"
crazy?
Yeah, I was like, "I don't know what albums they listen to, but like Brandy's catalog is insane." So I was just like, "Whatever," like
I love Monica, but I pick Brandy all day. If I
me
never
too.
had to hear another Monica song, I wouldn't cry. I mean, I love Monica, don't get me wrong, but
Hmm.
I would be very sad if I couldn't hear another Brandy song.
Right. I mean, and I don't know, out of the whole Brandy Monica, especially, back in the day when it was, the boys' mind came out and everyone tried to pit them against each other. I'm just a Brandy fan. I do feel she's
Yeah,
underrated. I feel like her vocals are insane, you know, and
that's my girl.
she need her flowers now. But I mean,
She definitely
and
do.
then just lyrically and just the catalog in general, I just feel like, I mean, you want to get technical. I feel like she has more hits anyway. So I just didn't know they just had, some people I feel like they don't know their research, and some people aren't like fans, you know. So I was
Yeah,
like,
I think
eh.
Brandy got more hits than Monica, or they might have the same amount. But if I had to listen, if you tell me I'm driving on a 5 hour road trip, you want to listen to Brandy or Monica, I'm choosing Brandy.
Oh, most definitely. Definitely. To this day, I can to actually out of her albums, my personal favorite is actually the Never Say Never album.
Baby, what do you mean? Yes,
I'm stuck on that new song No Borderline to the point like I can't get it out of my head out of her new album B7, but like I can't get it out of my mind. Like I love that song. And that single literally kind of overtook every single Brandy song I've ever loved. There's something about that song. I just love it, and I love to see. I just love to see how she has grown. But me personally, like I said, I'm super biased. But I was like, man, Brandy to
I'm not.
me is going to
I
kill
ain't
that.
gonna lie. I'm a little bit out of pocket because I haven't even downloaded her new CD. I've heard bits and snippets from just her promotions and stuff like that, but I'm already giving it an A+, and I don't know. But Never Say Never is
Yes.
definitely my favorite album for
Yes,
sure.
and Never Say Never for me was one of those albums, you know, like back in the day when you would get the CD and everybody would whip out the booklet, you know, like that was like the big
Right.
thing. And I'm like a music head, so for me, it was always a big thing when you can get like that one CD that you could listen to the whole, like listen from track 1 to 10, you know, and it's like Never Say Never
Right.
for me. Every single track on that album was like off the chain, in my opinion. But you know,
And
I'm
that's what I
biased.
kind of don't like about the new age is all this downloading stuff. I miss holding a CD or an album and
Hmm.
looking at the cover, holding the poster and all of that. All of this, that's what's kind of wearing me down on the new tip. All of this downloading stuff. It's like I want something in my hand that's tangible, you know.
Right.
But on the other hand, being able to just post up your song and people are calling me and they're just singing my song already. They already know the hook just from me being on Instagram. Back in the day, you had to go put flyers on cars and perform at a club and, you know, like that. So it's a catch-22 of
Right.
sorts.
I definitely say it's a catch-22 because there was nothing like back in the day, you know, because first it was that I was a kid, it was the 45s, you know, I got some age on me. So, you know, like the little 45
Right,
records. And then it was like getting a
right.
big album. And then, you know, even when it transgressed the CDs, it's like, okay, cool. You still have that booklet. Cause I was corny. I would even like reading the thank yous, you know, like, let me see who they
Oh
thank.
yeah. Where are the thank yous? Where are
Right.
the
You know,
thank yous
that
from
was a big
the download?
thing. And I used to love like when you know, then I would love like when some people didn't have the lyrics, but some people did. So like when they had the lyrics in the booklets, oh yes, like they got it all in here. They got the lyrics, you know, and just seeing, oh, let me hear this song. And I feel like for example, like Babyface. So when I was really heavy into buying my CDs and stuff, like he just has a particular sound. So when you listen to somebody,
Mhm.
like you kind of have in your mind, like, okay, he must have produced this. So you grab that booklet, you know, and you look at the
Right.
lyrics and you see who wrote it or produced it. You know, that's people that
You
I
just
feel
reminded me, like, where are the thank yous in the downloads?
right. I just feel like that's, you know, that's old heads. We like, that's the stuff we was into. Like, I love reading the thank yous, you know, like, I just thought it was
Mhm.
like really cool. So just backtracking back to you, because I could talk about Brandy all day. So,
Girl, shout out Brandy.
yeah, so you've done some amazing things. So you've also done some model work. So one thing that had struck out to me when I was reading your bio was that so you did some modeling for Levi's and they used you to
Mhm.
do a fit for jeans and to do a mannequin. They did a mannequin in your likeness.
So basically, yeah, I do fit modeling for Levi's, and pretty much they pay me to just come in and design the jean on my body.
Wow.
Um, for the curvy, it's a few different ones. It's the curvy one, and I also do it for Old Navy. And basically, so like Levi's jeans, any of the Levi's jeans that we gonna wear, the ones that got the curves and stretching and all that,
Right.
are made after my measurement. And they made a mannequin like out of my measurements. So I really wish that I could have had that mannequin in my house, but I tried to get it, and my agent was like, "Yeah, we got to get it. It's probably in China." So I don't know. It's like we started trying to get into it, but I never did. But they actually did create a mannequin, in my measurements. So that was pretty
Wow.
cool.
That is amazing.
Hmm.
So something else you did that I thought was amazing. So tell me about this show that you host called the Hyphy Show.
So the Hyphy Show was actually one of the first ever original podcasts. Like when podcasts were first created, Hyphy Show was in the top 50 podcasts. Like I know it's
Wow.
a million of them, now, but Hyphy Show was one of the first ones. And it was right after I had got off making the band. Kevin Epps, he's a world renowned filmmaker from the Bay Area. He produced Straight Outta Hunters Point. He's actually got a documentary inside of Alcatraz highlighting the Black experience on Alcatraz with the brothers that was in prison there. So Kevin Epps actually was the creator of the show and hired me to be the host. And at the time, I know we were really way above, before our time because people was like, "What?
Mm.
Watching TV on the phone? Like, what are you talking about?" It was like, even me, I was like, "Wait, wait, wait, what's gonna happen here?" So that was when you could first start like watching movies and stuff like that on the cell phone. That was really the newest thing, but that was a really honor to be a part of that because I was able to do interviews with like everybody. Will Smith, I interviewed Barry Bonds, Gavin Newsom, Snoop Dogg, Nas, Public
Wow.
Enemy, Jada Pinkett. We were just everywhere with the Hyphy Show, and that was a really great time. But Hyphy
Wow.
Show is one of the first ever original podcasts. Yep.
That's amazing. So out of all the people
Mhm.
that you interviewed, who would you say you would put at like your top three?
I think Will Smith for me was kind of like Will Smith, you
Mm-hmm.
know. It was him and Jada Pinkett was together at the time, so that was like I got a double entanglement. Um, and then for me to meet Snoop, actually we ended up working on a magazine together. I named it called Mandatory Business. He was an intricate part of that. So really meeting Snoop and him knowing, like once I got off making a band, it was just crazy because I would see people, celebrities, and like I saw Venus and Serena once out, and they're like, Malika, oh my God, it's you, and I'm like, oh my God, it's you.
Wow.
So I mean, I was never really starstruck, but it was just being on a reality show instantly. People know you, so it just put me in a different circle. So when I met Snoop, he already knew who I was,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just so Snoop was just hella cool. So for me, Snoop was a really good interview, and I was able to powwow with him several times. And then who would I would say number three? Hmm. Maybe maybe like Chuck D from Public Enemy,
Mm-hmm.
because that was more like
Mm-hmm.
a serious interview.
Yeah.
I interviewed Flavor Flav too, and that was the time when he was doing Flavor of Love, so he was
Oh
trying to
wow.
listen to me. But Chuck D really sat down with me, and I was able to really have a real interview with him, and it was a good moment for me. But it's so many different people. I think Gavin Newsom was pretty cool too, just by him being now the governor.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
good
amazing.
time.
So, like I say, you have like a long, extensive history. So, I know, like, obviously, you grew up in the Bay. So, what led you to New Orleans?
So my father was actually born in New Orleans,
Okay.
and my grandfather is he we call him Mr. New Orleans. So when my grandfather was sick, my dad moved to New Orleans. So after he was 3, they moved to San Francisco, the Bay Area. Then my grandparents moved back. But he always put it in our family to love New Orleans. Baby, it's a party, baby. We've been coming to New Orleans since we was a little girl. I've been coming to the Mardi Gras and all of that. But I never thought that I would move to New Orleans. And then I met my warrior. His name is Asan Juve, and Hill girl. That's a whole nother long story. Now he's a political prisoner, but
Mm-hmm.
he was the reason why I actually came to move to New Orleans. But
Mm-hmm.
my dad was here, so it made it easier because my grandparents were here, my dad was here, but then my love was here too. So I was able to going ahead and transition. And I tell you, New Orleans has been a major blessing for me. And my grandfather, he passed away like 3 months before I actually moved here. But I feel like he has actually, to me, he's looking over us because everything has just been rolling in such a positive way since I've been here. It's just been amazing.
So obviously, everyone knows New Orleans, is rich in culture, it's rich in music. So how do you feel like the city influenced your music? Do you feel like there was definitely just a difference in your influence as an artist before you moved to New Orleans? Did you notice like a difference just in, your creativity with your music once you moved down to New Orleans?
Well, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. So I really, was already kind of enthralled in the culture because I've been coming down here since I was like 10 years old every summer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the bounce music is kind of something new for me. Like we really don't do bounce music. We do slap, in Oakland, it's all about the slappers, the bumps, the too shorts and, all of that.
Right.
And oh, that was another honor I worked with Too Short on the song too. But I just finished shooting a video on Saturday and it's a bounce song. So I'm officially coming out. We don't have the release date yet. We just finished shooting the video. The song is called Loving You. And so I feel like I have that, that bounce. I don't think if I was not living in New Orleans, I don't even think I would have thought to do a bounce song. But
Mm-hmm.
being here and I met some amazing, amazing people in New Orleans and now I got me a bounce song, baby. So
Nice.
that'll be coming out soon. But working with a lot of live bands and things like that, I love that. Like what I love about New Orleans, you can walk down the other night. I was walking down the street after we shot the video, and people were just playing music live on the street. I jumped right in, impromptu. We rolling on the street, just amazing vibe. You can walk the little bit further down, and a lot of people know me from performing here and invite you up on stage. You don't even know you're gonna perform that night. Next thing you know, you done did a whole concert. So that's what I really do love about New Orleans with a live band.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my dad, we have a not since COVID, we haven't been able to do it, but a lot of the places in the French Quarter we perform on different nights.
New Orleans is an amazing city for music. I think people kind of get the point that New Orleans is big on music. I know like a lot of people I meet, obviously the first thing they mention is the food, but that's one thing I feel like people who haven't had a chance to be blessed to come visit the city, it's just like you said, if you go downtown, you could just be walking down the street. And it's like there's
Mhm.
a band, and they're rolling. They're not just sitting there, with a little box and a drum. No, there's like a bunch of musicians with their
Oh yeah,
instruments and they're having a little mini concert on the corner.
you might get an 8-piece band on any given moment on the street.
Definitely. New Orleans is an amazing city. So some other
Mhm.
things that, I picked up from you. So tell us about your activism. So obviously, we're in a heavy political climate right now. I feel like, with the Black Lives Matter movement, obviously in our race, we were already aware of the things that were going on. But one thing I will say about this current movement, some people who, weren't aware, some of our counterparts that may not have been fully well versed on some of the struggles that we've had as a race, their eyes are being opened. So tell me something about like the activism that you've been a part of.
So once again, it started with my humble young beginnings back in Oakland. Like I said, we went to schools that were like Pan-African schools. So I've always been heavily involved in the struggle. I started off probably at 5 or 6 years old going to study groups with my father
Mm.
and just going to rallies and things like that. Shout out Huey P. Newton. May God Allah be pleased with him. He was killed on August 22nd. Like I marched in his funeral procession.
Wow.
At the time, we were really heavily involved with any injustice with the police. It's a place called the Uhuru House in Oakland,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we
Mm-hmm.
actually where I met Tupac. We all used to rehearse there. Tupac, we all used to be there, and so they could count on us to be at any given moment at a rally. Supporting. I was a part of the Oscar Grant movement, the Love Not Blood campaign. I'm just somebody that people can call on and count on for giving a helping hand. Currently, the movement Degel Sunubap, it means to be honest in the Wolof language in Senegal. Um, my man is in Senegal. He was deported to Senegal, and he speaks out against the injustice that's going on in Senegal, which is very similar to what's happening here. But we've been rebuilding schools out there. We're cleaning up in the community, feeding the community, and basically just shining the light on injustice is what my family has always done. My dad is a registered member of the Nation of Islam. So, those brothers, sisters is always in the community. And I'm right there. I'm just a sister soldier. We're part of the Ministry of Arts and Culture for the Nation of Islam. So we do a lot of events in the community. We raise money and then give it back to the mosque, which also turns around and buys land and feeds the community. So always Black lives been mattering to my family. And I'm just thankful for the awareness and basically we've been woke. So
Yeah,
anything that's having to do with the liberation of our people, we right there.
that's great. Your upbringing sounds absolutely amazing. And that's great that they
Oh,
raised you to be aware, from a young
oh yeah.
child. I think that's just, besides all the great musical, roots that they instilled in you, the fact that they raise you to be aware, I think that's an
Oh
amazing
yeah.
thing. And that's something that we should give to our kids just so they can be aware of what's going on, and also to give them pride in themselves too, pride from where we come from. I just think it's important to instill those roots in your kids. So that's like really amazing. That's, hats off to your
Yeah.
parents, because, that's just.
My parents, even like Ubaka is my last name.
Hmm.
They wasn't born with that last name. They actually changed. My mom found the name. An African priest came and blessed our family with the name. So I'm the firstborn grandchild, and my sister is the second. My sister and I were the only two that wasn't born with the last name Ubaka, but our first and middle name are African names. But all of the grandchildren, it's like 20 something now, all have African names from beginning to end. And where are you from?
I'm from New Orleans.
Oh, you're from New
Yep,
Orleans.
I
Okay, I
am.
didn't know
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
So you know all about the bounce music. So in
Oh yeah.
Oakland, there's Laney College, which I ended up graduating from UC Merced, but I was able to name the program, the Ubaka program, which it helps provide books, tutoring to low income African American students, just low income students. And I'm very proud of that. So for Ubaka means supreme wisdom, wealth, and knowledge. But the program in school is utilizing brain power to attain knowledge abundantly. And so that's something that I'm really proud of. And it's been around now for like 10 years. Every year I check in, Ubaka program still rolling and it's still rolling.
Wow.
So I know that, that legacy will live on and is helping a lot of students, get through with times and maybe they wouldn't have been able to handle without having that assistance.
Wow. That's really, like I said, that is absolutely phenomenal. So some additional
Mhm.
info about you. So I know like you also have acting experience, and you've also directed a documentary on, let me make sure I'm pronouncing it right, on soca music, or is it soccer music?
Soca, 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 soca. Yeah, that's the music of the island of Trinidad. Yep.
Wow. So tell me about that documentary, and when did you make that?
So that was in 2011, and that experience was awesome. Um, we went down there. It was a abroad program, and again, it was like right after making the band, so it was at the height of everybody just kind of knowing who I was. It's crazy. Couldn't even really walk down the street at that time without people. Oh my God, it's you, baby. They don't do it like that no more, but that's okay.
Right, right.
I'm still rolling, but so I stayed in Trinidad for about 2 months, and it was a group of about five of us that got together and did the documentary on soca music. It was called No Soca, No Life, and that literally was probably one of a great highlight moment in my life. Like when I think about things in my life, that's one that I was saying, okay, that's up there on the top. So when we got there, we literally did not know anybody. I didn't. One of the other young ladies, she kind of knew about the music and all that. I really didn't know anything about it at all. So I was just fresh plate, didn't know what was going on. And I wanted to find out who the top artists were. And the top artist in Trinidad is still to this day Marshall Montano. You
Mm,
Google him. And they were
wow.
like, but you would never be able to get him. He's the top, but you'll never be able to get him. So from day one, I was like, I got to get him because they said I can't.
Right, right.
So we literally ended up not only getting him, but he showed us around. He let us interview him on his tour bus. He took us backstage. We was all in the VIP service, kicking it. Like he was like the most welcoming out of everybody. But we ended up getting like all the major top people on that documentary, and it was just a really great moment. And I know I probably lost about 15 pounds because we was dancing all night long. If you ever have an opportunity to go to Trinidad, you definitely want to do that. They call it liming all night. Like liming is like partying and kicking it. So we were liming. I ended up getting to perform at a lot of the clubs out there. People was just treating us like royal. You know, when you go somewhere else out the country, they just lay out the red carpet for Americans for whatever reason.
Right, right.
And we was getting all kind of stuff, just free boat rides, jet skis, tours, food, and I mean, girl, you about to make me book my ticket to go back just thinking about it. It was such an amazing time, and our documentary really, really came out nice. And just to get Marshall Montano after people were basically saying that we never would was an honor, and he was just really, really great to work with.
Wow, that's really amazing. So
Mhm.
right now, obviously, we have the pandemic taking place. Has it affected, just working in general and singing and performing? Has that affected you in any way?
It definitely has because I just miss like on my birthday I did a live concert in my house. I set up the thing, microphone and did all of that. But I feel like the pandemic, it's a unfortunate situation, but it's also been a time of reflection and growth and
Hmm.
development. I've
Right.
been able to get a lot of things done. When I moved to New Orleans, I started working at Wyndham doing marketing for uh, Wyndham,
Hmm.
and I ended up, praise God, I ended up being like the top marketer there and really just rolling in the dough. So I kind of started like focusing so much on that that I was just stacking my bread, and I bought a house, and it was like getting everything together. So I wasn't performing as much anyway. But I still was writing, but I was really just getting myself together. And I, purchased a home and did all of these cool things and a new experience with being a marketer. But since Corona came, I don't know. For me, it hasn't been this sob story like everybody else has. I feel like I've done so much during this time. I probably could have done more. What I do miss is getting on the stage, rocking out. I really miss a live show. I really miss, the band behind you and the loud music and the crowd. But but I've been able to shoot a couple of videos. I've been able to write more songs. I've been able to meet more people. I've been able to start my live. I wanted to get back on the podcast scene. So I said, let me just start with the live on my Instagram. I've
Hmm.
done like 11 episodes and you're going to be on.
I
So I'm
can't
excited
wait.
about that.
I'm
So,
super excited.
yeah, it's been an up and down roller coaster, but you got to take the good with the bad and make the best of it.
Oh, definitely. Now, barreling back to music, is there any artist or producer or songwriter that you have on like your wish list that you would like to hook up with, that you haven't had a chance to connect with? Is there any like dream artist you would like to collaborate with?
Who would be my dream artist to collaborate with? I would like to collaborate with Brandy. That'd be the bomb. I love her. Did I say the bomb? It's the bomb for me. Um, I would love to work with Brandy. I mean, if
Hmm.
it's just, I would love to work with, I met Mary J. Blige, and it was, again, I was so honored. And she's like, girl, I know you. I'm like, oh my God, I love you. Now, when I'm seeing these people, I don't do all that, but it was just an honor to meet Mary. But I would love to work with Mary. I would love to work with Brandy. Um, I would really love to work with the Migos. Like, I really
Hmm.
like the Migos.
Okay.
As far as, or Drake, I really would like to work with Drake. I think me and Drake would make a really dope song together.
Hmm. My son
As
is
far as a
obsessed with Drake.
producer,
My son is
yeah,
Drake.
Drake. I mean,
My son is Drake's
Drake
number
is
one
the home
fan.
run
It's
artist.
ironic because that was one of the last concerts I went to. Was Drake and the Migos actually. I want to say that was 2 years ago.
Wow,
It was a Drake, to be honest, because I'm like a concert whore. Like I was going to everybody's concert at one point in my life, and he was like one of the best concerts I saw. Like,
really?
oh, his concert was amazing. Like the set, everything was really good. Trying to think, that was on the In My Feelings album, but that concert was like he didn't owe me anything. Jay-Z, I saw him at the 444 concert. That was amazing. He covered so many songs. You know, like you go to some concerts and you'll be like wishing, you know, they sing
They would
particular
have done
songs.
something.
He pretty much, I think he covered quite a bit. Like that concert was like amazing. The only thing I just didn't want it to end when he was done. Like when it was over, I just sat there like that, you know, like I want more, you know, but it was so good. But Drake puts on
Right.
an amazing concert. Like it's really good.
Drake is good. Drake hits a home run every time. I don't know a bad Drake song, to be honest.
Right. And I had to go. Like I said, my son is like his number one fan. So, you know, when I found out he was coming, I was like, okay, let me get these tickets. But it was a pretty good concert. Now, my Mary J. Blige memory, actually, I saw Mary at Essence. Now, this was years ago. This was when Beyonce had the B-Day album. So that's how long ago that was. But
Oh, wow.
the thing that amazed me about Mary, she had, you know, she was just on stage, had her mic, she had a bottle of Dasani water, and it was, you know, it was no thrills. It was just her singing her ass off, and she sipped
Just
that
take
bottle.
me as I am or have nothing at all.
But the thing that amazed me, she took one sip of that water. When I said she was
Wow.
all over the stage, and you know when she did No More Drama, like she like ripped the stage apart. But I was like, I was thirsty for her. I was like, I need Mary to drink that whole bottle of water. You know, but she literally just paused and took one sip, and that was it. Like I, you know, I will say like she puts on a show, but it's like a show. It's not like, you know, some artists like they big on the graphics and all that stuff. I just appreciated the fact that it was just her and her mic and the people in the background. That was it. And her bottle of water.
Right.
Like that's all she
Old
needed.
school.
So
Right.
just to round everything out, if you had like, let's say there was like an up and coming artist or someone that listens to this episode that has aspirations of being, you know, in the industry, what advice would you give them?
I would say definitely stay true to yourself. Because many times, I've been around, I call myself the almost queen. I've been around the biggest people and I've been around, people that are trying to get to that level. And some of the things that have been said to me is amazing. Like, I know people can buckle and fold easily under pressure trying to get to the next level. And you don't want to sacrifice or compromise yourself to get to that point. To me, it's not worth it. Just stay true to who you are. If you don't want to say that lyric, don't say that lyric. Like, don't allow people to manipulate you into being something that you're not comfortable with. Now, if you're comfortable with doing the food, then do the food. But
Mm.
don't do anything that you're going to end up regretting,
Wow.
and never give up because it'll be a lot of people that will tell you that you can't do this or you can't do that. I actually had tried out for making the band the first time when it was Chopper and all of that, and I didn't make it at all. I didn't make it at all.
Mm.
And then the next time when he had making the band, it was for singing, but I was a rapper. Like I'm rap originally, and I sing a bit. I don't really consider myself a singer, but I sing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, I know it's gonna be like some amazing singers, but I'm like, I'm gonna go for it. But when people found out, it was so many people like, you don't sing that good, or you can't do this and that. And then I ended up making it to the top three out
Wow.
of hundreds of thousands of people. But I didn't let them tell me that I couldn't do it. If I would have listened to some of these people, I might not have even went to the audition. So believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So one thing I like to round out with something new that I started, I asked all my guests to define being a queen. So how do you define a queen?
I define a queen as standing, like I just said, on your principles,
Mm-hmm.
um, holding your head high, being responsible, being true to yourself. Being a queen to me is keeping your word because your word is bond. And if it doesn't cost a dime to keep your word and do what you say you're gonna do. And want for your brother or sister what you want for yourself. So
Mm.
that means you can't be a hater. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want your podcast to be the most successful podcast. I want mine to be successful, but it's enough room for both of us. I'm not gonna secretly, hang up and say, "Oh, I really hope that hers don't really go anywhere." So that's not a queen to me. Real queen is gonna look out for the next sister or brother.
Mm. I love that. So I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there any way you can give us, like, just give us a little taste, give us a taste of a lyric, something? Like, can you bless us with just, I don't know, a spoken word, a little rap, something, anything? Just bless us with like 1 minute or something, 30 seconds. Can you bless us with anything before we end the podcast?
Oh, for sure. I mean, and everybody make sure you follow me at Malika ENT. I'll sing a little bit of the song that I just released called African Girl, and it's dedicated to all the original women across the globe. So here we go. I'm an African girl, but I was born in America. I'm an African girl, and I'm so proud to be part of you. La 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 la. I am an African woman. La 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 la. I'm an African woman. I touched down in the motherland, so honored, soil of the original mother and father, son and daughter. I'm so unbothered, denying everything that the slave master taught us. My people, the raw, black skin, flawless, first to do it all, the original ballers. What? Original scholars, original people is really what you should call it. Stay original, stay strong. Black Lives Matter, baby.
I love it. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation. And just tell people again, I know you mentioned where they can follow you, but just tell them again. So I know you use like the same handle, right? So tell everybody where they can follow you, where they can be blessed and get all your music.
So everything is at Malika ENT. My YouTube is Queen Malika ENT, but MALIKAENT, like short for entertainment. That's my Instagram. Like page is Malika MALIKA. I'm kind of weak on Facebook, but I have the followers and stuff there. I don't really post that much on there like I should, but Malika ENT on Instagram. I do have Twitter. I'm a little weak on Twitter too. Y'all gotta forgive me, but I'm trying to step up my game right now. But if you get me on Instagram and Facebook, and follow my YouTube channel because we'll be dropping the video tomorrow to the song.
Oh, wow.
Queen Malika ENT. Well, I don't know by the time this podcast come out, what day it'll be, but Queen Malika ENT for YouTube.
Thank you so much. So you guys heard her. This is Queen Malika. That's Malika ENT, Queen of the Bay. So I want you guys to make sure you follow her on all those platforms that you mentioned. And thank you so much again. I really, truly appreciate it. You're such a humble person. And I just really appreciate you blessing this little podcast, and talking to us.
For sure, baby. I'm trying to talk to everybody. 1, 2 more people to know about me. I ain't mad at all. And blessings to you, and prosperity, and doing what you do. Keep it pushing, keep it going. I see what you got going. It looks very professional and clean. I don't know how I found you, but I'm happy I did.
Me too. You have no idea. I'm super happy. So, thank you so much. And I really, really, really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you for listening to the Q Chat podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Queen's Arrogance LLC. Our company website is www.goqueen.com.